Wicked Waves Cape Cod is New England's newest water park. This opened alongside the Cape Cod Inflatable Park in 2024. For such a new park, the property boasts a flashy water slide lineup with some impressive attractions such as a water coaster and a trapdoor slide. So should you check this place out? Find out in this review. First, some background on the Cape Cod Inflatable Park. Without the success of this place, we would not have Wicked Waves. If you're interested in that property specifically, I have a full review already published about it on the channel. The original Cape Cod Inflatable Park opened in South Dennis in 2011. This one featured just dry attractions. In 2012, the owners built a second inflatable park in West Yarmouth. This one had water attractions. In 2013, the parks were merged into one. All the attractions were moved to the West Yarmouth location. For a decade, the property operated with a mix of dry and wet inflatables. Their success allowed them to make the bold $13 million investment in advance of the 2024 season. This led to the creation of Wicked Waves. If you want to visit this complex, you'll need to pay $10 to park. I believe this may be cash only, so be prepared. Also be prepared for a traffic backup on Route 28 if you visit on a busy day. We happened to visit on the park's busiest day thus far. As a result, we were directed to park at a closed motel next door. By the time we reached the ticket booth, they actually ran out of parking entirely. This was around noon, just 2 hours after they opened. So if you want to visit on a warm weekend day, consider arriving early to guarantee a parking spot and beat the crowds onto the attractions. When you approach the ticket booth, you have 4 options. First is a day pass to just the water park. This costs $48. It is worth knowing you can enter the inflatable park for free, but everyone must pay admission to enter the water park. It is also worth knowing the flow rider is an additional fee. This is $20 for the day. You can either add this to the wristband or purchase this separately because it's technically not in the water park, but I'll get to that in a bit. Second is a combo pass to the inflatable park and water park. This costs $60. It's worth noting the inflatable park is typically open 2 to 3 hours later than the water park, so it's easy to do both in a single day. Third is a season pass. You can purchase one for the water park alone for $120, or a combo pass for $150. Fourth, you can stay at the adjacent Cape Cod Family Resort. This is directly across from the main entrance. There are stay and play packages costing $375 to $500. This includes a room and combo passes for up to 4 guests. 2 additional fees you may encounter. 1. Everyone using the inflatables must have socks. If you don't bring a pair, the park sells them for $2. 2. You can purchase a locker for $15 to $20. You alternatively can leave your items on a lounge chair. We saw many people doing this, but I personally do not trust my valuables out in the open. It is worth noting this property has a rain guarantee if they close early for precipitation. I'm not sure how often that happens, but it's nice that they offer it. The park setup is a bit interesting. The first area of the park is free to enter. This is where the food places, lockers, and changing rooms are located. There is also a small arcade and that aforementioned flow rider. Off to the right, you have the inflatable park, which is also free to enter. This is nice so parents don't have to pay to supervise their young ones. In front of security is a second gate into the water park area. The layout from there is fairly straightforward. Part of that is the park's small size. You can go from the front to back of the park in 3 minutes flat. The 2 pools are in front. The kids' areas are in the back right, and the lazy river circles round these. Then there's a single slide tower in the back left. The whole park is clean and aesthetically pleasing. The water is crystal clear, and the attractions are colorful. The main slide tower in particular is eye-catching. There are 5 slides all intertwined, each with a different color. Don't expect much in terms of theming though. The only bits I saw were some Cape Cod signs on the water fortress. Also, do not expect much in terms of shade unless you buy a cabana or get a covered lounge chair. This is common with many water parks anyway, and especially new parks. so you have the double whammy here. Make sure you wear plenty of sunscreen. Now I'm going to move on to the attraction lineup. For a brand new park, Wicked Waves has some really impressive attractions. The lineup is small, but the quality is good. The main slide tower was erected by WhiteWater West. It stands 4 to 5 stories tall, and it features some of their most popular models. My favorite of the bunch is Riptide Rockets. This is a water coaster with 3 drops and 3 uphill ascents. The initial plunge is quite large and drops right down to ground level. Then there are 2 other drops that are short but steep. There isn't much airtime in this one, but it does have very good pacing. The water-propelled ascents really push you along at a good clip, so you don't really slow down. It is worth knowing you can experience this slide solo or in pairs. And if you want more in-depth thoughts about this slide, I have a full review already published. Boomerang Blaster appeared to be the crowd favorite though. This is a Boomerango slide. If you've been to lake compounds, it's the exact same model as Venus Vortex. 3 to 6 guests at a time ride in a large raft. You have some slow turns at the start that build suspense. Then there's a sharp drop into a half pipe that offers a little bit of airtime. You then rock back and forth in a giant half pipe, which is a really cool visual. It's worth noting this is the only slide that dumps you into a pool here. The others end in a runoff trough. The most extreme attraction here is Devil's Drop. This is a trapdoor speed slide. Waiting for the floor to fall out always gets my heart pounding, and the release is always a rush. This one is shorter than most other versions, so it needs to start the pullout almost immediately. Don't expect to lift off the slide, but it is smooth and fast. Then there are 2 standard tube slides. Both are enclosed. The green one is Belly of the Beast. This one is near total darkness. It's fairly mild though, with 2 small dips and some slow turns. The blue one is Pipeline Plunge, and that slide is far more interesting. The turns are outfitted with these multicolored polka dots, which is a fun visual. Then this slide ends with a decent sized drop. Young ones have a few options for them. Splash Island is a water fortress with some smaller slides, plus an assortment of water features like sprayers and a giant dump bucket. The lily pad pool is a series of crossings. Some fittingly cross over lily pads, but the center one has an inflatable lobster for variety. Then the smallest guests have the tiny silly slides into a kiddie pool, or the toddler time area with some water features. Beyond the slides, there are some additional options. There is the aforementioned Flow Rider for an additional fee. This is a boogie board surfing simulator. I'm not a big fan of these, but I know others absolutely love them. There's also the Wicked Wave Pool. It is one of the smaller wave pools I've seen in terms of size and wave height, but it's ultra refreshing on a hot day. Then there's the Roaming River Lazy River. The course does not have much in terms of scenery or water elements, but it is relaxing taking a few laps. This allows you to escape the chaos of the other attractions. I mentioned at the start that I visited this park on their busiest day thus far, so there understandably were a lot of people in the park. This also was a new park that is working to refine their operations. This led to some issues. Getting on the lazy river in particular can be frustrating. The park requires that all guests have a tube before they enter. However, there is no formal queue, and on the day we visited, there were not enough tubes to go around. So people were standing by the exit for a tube, and some were pushing and shoving to get one. A lot of lazy rivers allow guests to float without a tube, but this one is really narrow, so I get why the rule is in place for a capacity measure. It would just help in the future if there was an actual queue, similar to what Lake Compounds does with their lazy river. But the bigger issues were at the major slides. There is only one main tower, and unfortunately, there's just a single staircase servicing those slides. This makes the queuing situation confusing and frustrating. Further exasperating issues, there is absolutely no signage at this time. This really needs to be updated for clarity. Fortunately, there was an employee stationed by the tower whose job was to direct people to the appropriate queue or lane. This was good for the bottom, but it came apart as you went up the tower. As you approach the tower, you'll see two sets of switchbacks at ground level. These are the tube pickup lines. The left side's for belly of the beast and pipeline plunge. You inform the employee whether you'd like to ride alone or in pairs, and they give you the appropriate tube. The right side's for riptide rockets. The placement for this pickup is really awkward though. In between the ending of riptide rockets and the tube pickup point, you have the queue for boomerang blaster, so the lifeguard needs to pass the tube to an employee stationed in boomerang blaster's queue, who then has to walk it over to the pickup point. Now it is time for the stairs. The first two staircases have no railings or barriers. The final staircase is formally split into two sides. If you want to ride boomerang blaster, stay to the far left for the whole way. This queue extended down the length of the stairs for most of the day, resulting in a 45 to 60 minute wait. If you want to ride riptide rockets, stay to the far right the whole way. When in doubt, follow others with green tubes. These are the only ones used in this slide. Only 10 to 15 minutes worth of the queue were accommodated on the stairs themselves. The overall wait took maybe 30 to 45 minutes for us if the slide didn't break down, but more on that later. If you want to ride the other two tube slides, you squeeze up the middle for the first few staircases. Once you reach the final staircase, you take the right side of the left lane. You then declare whether you want to ride belly of the beast or pipeline plunge. There was only 10 minutes worth of tubes admitted onto the stairs. Then the day we visited, there was only a 5 to 10 minute queue at the bottom to get a tube. If you want to ride Devil's Drop, you squeeze past everyone else. People will think you're cutting because of it, so expect some angry comments. When you reach the final staircase, you stick to the left side of the right lane. This ride never had to wait longer than 5 minutes. The only challenge was getting to it. Because of how many people were on the stairs, there are multiple instances where slides, particularly Devil's Drop, were sitting idle for a few minutes because guests simply could not make their way up the stairs. To add insult to injury, the top platform is chaos as well. At most parks, guests are instructed to wait on the stairs until called by a lifeguard. Here, there are multiple parties standing on the platform for each slide. We saw some people in the Devil's Drop queue line sneak into the line for Boomerang Blaster at the last instance to bypass the wait. Conversely, I saw a group of 7 try to ride Boomerang Blaster, which is one person over the max. The extra person cut the line for Devil's Drop and loaded themselves into the capsule. The employee immediately sent them down. The park is aware of the issues the queue setup is causing. In the short term, I would love to see signs instructing people where to go, both at the bottom and as you head up the stairs. Long term, I think the stairs need to be widened with designated lanes for each slide the whole way up. The park said this is on the table for 2025, which is encouraging, and I really hope they do it. I imagine the queue situation will be less stressful on a quieter day, and you'll likely have to wait less than I did. 3 positives from an operations standpoint. 1. Employees were mostly dispatching slides quickly. The second the runoff trough was clear, they'd send the next rider. The slowest line was Boomerang Blaster because guests had to physically exit a pool. 2. There is a wait time board at the bottom of the tower. Times were not being populated during my visit, but the park plans to do this going forwards. This will help people decide when and what to queue for. 3. The park actually extended their hours unannounced on the day we visited due to the high crowds. Very few parks ever do something like that, but it's really appreciated from a guest satisfaction standpoint. 2 other operational things that could change going forwards. 1. This park currently has a very lax policy on loose articles. We saw many instances where guests were allowed to ride attractions with loose-fitting shoes or handheld items, and as you'd expect, a few people lost things. This led to a few delays, most notably on Riptide rockets. An employee would have to walk the slide to retrieve the lost item. 2. Boomerang Blaster and Riptide rockets each had scales to weigh riders, but these were not in use. Similar slides at other parks use them because there are weight requirements specified by the manufacturer. For Boomerang Blaster, each group must not exceed 1,000 pounds. For Riptide rockets, each tube must be between 110 and 400 pounds. We didn't see any rafts that appeared to be egregiously overweight, so it's possible the employees just eyeball it and use their judgment. I do need to note one safety issue I saw, and I hope this is addressed ASAP. The evacuation stairs for Riptide rockets had no danger signs nor warning signs. There was just a chain that kept coming undone. I think other guests were taking it off for some reason. This was problematic because the tube pickup point for Belly of the Beast and Pipeline Plunge went directly past this. We saw a few groups erroneously walk up there, thinking it was where they boarded the slide. Lifeguards never noticed this once. Most groups thankfully turned around, but one group entered the trough. Guests were yelling at them to get down, but they either couldn't hear or didn't listen. The employees at the top were unaware and dispatched a raft. This led to a collision and one of the women was thrown forwards. The injuries appeared minor, but this was almost a much more serious situation. In the aftermath, the park added a second rope barrier behind the chain, but there really needs to be signage and better supervision. Moving on, I want to talk about the food. There are only a few stands, all towards the front of the park. The most popular venue was the Swim Up Bar. We didn't eat there. We also didn't try the Stranger Things inspired Scoops Ahoy ice cream place. We did get chicken and fries at the adjacent Shark Bite Cafe though, and those were very good, much better than expected. So, do I recommend this park? I think Wicked Waves is a strong start. The slide lineup is limited, but there are some really good attractions for such a new park, including a solid water coaster. This is the main reason I would want to return, but the operations as of this recording are a bit messy and definitely need work. The park is taking steps to improve in this department, and once this is resolved, the experience will be much improved. It's a solid park otherwise. If you plan to visit in the near future, I would advise visiting on a weekday when the crowds will be less. This will mitigate the queue chaos we saw. We did have fun once we figured out the queue situation, but it definitely required patience. How does Wicked Waves compare to Cape Cod's other major water park and WaterWiz? Right now, I think WaterWiz is better operations. Wait times are shorter, and the queues are more straightforward. WaterWiz also has more attractions, but Wicked Waves has better attractions. The top 3 slides here are better than any single attraction at WaterWiz. Both parks can coexist for that reason. So those are my thoughts on Wicked Waves Cape Cod. What are your thoughts on this park? Have you been there yet? Let me know what you think down below. As I noted at the start, there is a separate review for the inflatable park specifically if you want to learn more about that place. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.